But you're welcome along to the part of the show which we call Up Close and Personal, where we get to meet and greet some of the stars of the Irish music scene. And today we're crossing down to Longford to meet one of the true legends of the Irish country music scene, Mick Flavin. Hello, good afternoon, Mick.
Good afternoon, Sean. How are you?
I'm very well, and thanks a million for allowing us to have this interview with you.
No problem. I'm delighted, Sean. Delighted.
I mean, it's been a long road that you've been on. Take us back down this road that first started for you, because the first time ever I heard of Mick Flavin, I mean, was a couple of times when I was over on holiday in Galway, and we used to hear all about this travelling to Flavin, which, as I said, was sort of a milestone, because even to this day, people still have that hook line, I'm travelling to Flavin.
That's right.
I mean, when you originally started out, of course, like all those years back, I mean, you were holding down a day job as well, weren't you?
I was, Sean, yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I really got into music back in the 60s. When I left the school here in Ballymuckin, the technical school, I got a chance to go with the band, and there was 5 of us in the band in 1966. And that's a long time ago, Sean. And, we played around the local scene here for a couple of years, for about 2 years. We did all the kind of dry halls. They were all like the parochial halls. There was no bars or anything in the halls that time. And then we did get a chance to go full-time, but unfortunately it didn't materialise. The guy we were working for, he wouldn't go down that road. He said, if we make it, we'll make it on our own bat. So then we split up after about 2 years, and then I kind of went away from the music scene, and I went off to work in Dublin about 1969, and I was working in Dublin until about 74, I think it was. And then I came back down home, built a house here just outside Longford. And I met up with a fellow that I used to know. He played with a band called the High-Lows, a fellow called Chet Calder. And him and I and this other man who's dead since, Paddy Nichol, God rest him, he used to play a saxophone. And the three of us struck off, and we just played the pub scene that time, Sean, and we did weddings and stuff like that. And the pub scene was huge that time in Ireland, and the ballad scene, and that whole scene was tremendous. And there was a lot of people going out that time, a lot of people drinking and all that. And we stayed at that then right up until about 86. And I remember then one night I was doing a charity night here in Drumlishy, where I live now. And I met up with Declan Early that night, and then we started chatting about the local radios. And at the time there was a lot of pirate radios here in Ireland and in the south of Ireland, and they were all playing country music. And I remember Declan encouraging me that night to go and record, and I didn't. I just laughed at him and I said, I'm happy enough, because I was working as a carpenter here for Longford County Council from about 75. This was 86. But anyway, him and I did eventually go over to Athlone. I think it was around June of 86, and we put down a couple of songs, Sean, and we played them the whole way home. That time there was no CDs or anything like that. It was just a cassette, and we played it in his car. And Jenny, anyway, we went back and we did 10 tracks in total, and it came out, I think it was around Christmas time of 86. And then at the beginning of 87, I was going around like now doing interviews and all that kind of stuff, and I happened to be up in Treble Theo Radio in Dublin, which was a huge country station. And the man that owned it was a man called Jimmy Smith, and he rang his brother in Cavan, who managed bands like Gene Stewart and different ones at the time. So I eventually sent him on a CD, or a cassette, sorry, and he rang me after about a week, and he came down to see us playing in Longford here. It was just 3 of us playing the pub scene, and so we met after the thing was over, and he just said to me, would you like to go at it full time? And I said I'd love to, because it was an ambition of mine for many, many years. And I said even back in 66 I got a chance, and it didn't materialise, and I was hoping this time it might. So anyway, he said, look, he said, I'll get a dance for you. I won't get too many dances. I'll just get one dance to start with in Cavan. And so we played the Farnham Arms, and we got in a drummer and a bass player. We didn't have a drummer or a bass player. All we had in the band at the group at the time was we had a piano player, and we had a guy playing a bit of steel and lead, and we had these electric drums, you know. So anyway, we got in a bass player and we got a drummer in, and that night there was a huge crowd in Cavan, and because it was blown off the air all around, that there was 3 pirate radio stations in Cavan at the time, Breffni, Ironside and Cavan, CCR, Cavan Community Radio. So anyway, we kept playing the pubs, and then I got a deal with a company called Harmac Records, and I did an album for them, which was produced by John Ryan, who does all Daniel's work on that. And we recorded that in Dublin. That came out about the end of July of 1987, and so we kind of went around the scene then for a while, playing to poor enough crowds and that, but when that album came out, it really, it kind of lifted me, and it got played on national radio, and it was on television as well, because the Harmac did a video of it, and I remember it came out at the Christmas time, and it was a huge success, that album. So that was kind of where it all started, Sean, and then in '89 I got a chance to sing at Wembley, and that was a huge kind of a milestone in my career. And I met the man that I really idolised from I was a kid, Buck Owens, and I got a chance to meet him. And then I went on to do different things, and I appeared on the Late Late and a few things like that, and Jerry Kelly, and all those shows like Live at 3 and Open House and all them. And then about 2 years ago, Sean, we took a whole group of people out to Nashville and to Memphis and up to Dollywood and that, and I got singing on the Grand Ole Opry, which was kind of a lifetime achievement, really. It's something I often dreamed about, but never ever thought it could happen, and it did happen, to be honest with you, through George Hamilton IV was the man that made it all possible for me, And that's kind of where I'm at, Sean, and I was with the company called, I left Harmac then in '89, and I went to Ritz. And I was with Ritz then up until about 2001. And then I left them, and I sort of branched out on my own, and I started this little record company called Schoolyard Records after the song The Old Schoolyard. So I've been recording, I don't know how much of it, about 4 or 5 albums now, and a DVD on the own label,
Mm. Well, you've done really well.
That now, and we've a brand new album just out a few days ago, Sean, and it's getting a lot of airplay at the moment,
Well, I mean, it's been as I said, a long road for you, but I mean, as I said, I can remember getting into you like years ago. Well, I mean, one of my first remembrances was The Shoe Goes on the Other Foot Tonight, which was on one of your vinyl albums, you know what I mean? And I mean, I remember playing it and getting the album and loving it. And I mean, of course, like seeing you down at Wembley, which was, as you said, absolutely wonderful to see an Irish artist. But one thing I've always said, and I will always stick by this, and I mean, people have often said to me, why do you say it? And it's the truth, which is, I would say that if you were American, I tell you what, Ireland wouldn't get a look in at you, because I tell you what, you got one of the best country voices, and I'm not sucking up to you or anything like that. No. You got the greatest country voice that's ever come out of Ireland. Right. It's so natural, and as I've said on my radio show, and people have to realise this, that if you were American, you'd be guarded in America like Alan Jackson and George Strait, because they don't let anybody near them, because they're like icons to them, which, as I've always said to you, which I've always said about you, you're one of the true country icons here, and we should be so happy to have somebody with a voice and the way that you can sing songs the way you do.
Yeah, well, I've always kind of loved country music. Well, back in the 50s when I was growing up, I did start off listening to rock and roll and that, Sean, to Buddy Holly and Eddie Corcoran and all the greats, and then I remember we got an old record player, a sister of mine bought this record player, second-hand record player, and I remember she came home with Elvis records and all that, and then somebody loaned us a couple of the Hank Williams ones and the old MGM label, and we played those, and I just kind of fell in love with his voice and the songs, the way he wrote them and that, and he was fantastic. And then we went on then to listen to Charlie Pride and Jim Reeves. My father, God rest him, was a great fan of Jim Reeves and that, and like Marty Robbins and people like that, and it was our house at the time when we were young. It was full of music, it was music, and I suppose there wasn't like the pop music that there is now and that kind of thing. It was rock and roll or country, and that was it really,
But as I've always said about your voice, though, I mean, anybody who listens to it, I mean, like, this is not just like the Irish people, I mean, the English, and I mean, because you got huge following in England, and I mean, in Scotland as well. I mean, it just oozes country as you sing it, you know what I mean? And I love watching you, because the thing is, you can see singers and have to put effort into it, but you don't. It just flows. It's just like watching the river. You stand on a bank and look at the river flowing. And it's just, no, but the way you do it is so beautiful and so easy going, and it comes out sounding brilliant.
Yeah, it just comes out. Well, go back to my father, God rest him, was a great singer. But he didn't sing, but he did sing an odd country song. He would sing maybe one of Jim Reeves on the Blue Side of the Lonesome. But the kind of stuff that he sang would have been like the old Shannos, unaccompanied, and he had some tremendous songs like Tipperine and Valley and Achanur and all those real old songs. She Moves Through the Fair and all them, and And I suppose, it's probably from him, like, that I got the voice,
Yeah. I mean, let's just talk about a couple of songs, a few of the songs you recorded of this. I mean, another one that I really love that you recorded was I Took a Memory to Lunch, which was done by Tom T. Hall and, of course, Bobby Bear. I love your version of that.
Yes, it's a great song, and I had another great song of his as well. It was called The Old Side of Town. That was a great song as well. And I did meet him. I met him back about, I think it was 1988. He did a concert here in Longford, here in the Park House Hotel, and I was in the audience, and Foster and Allen, Ray Lynham, Larry Cunningham, there was a whole lot of us in the audience, and he brought us all up onto the stage, which was really nice of him, and just to recognise the people that were kind of singing country and in Ireland here, and it was a great feeling just to meet him,
But that was a lovely song. Another one that I love that you sang as well is She's Yours to Hurt Tomorrow.
Yeah, Mine to Love Tonight, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a Conway Twitty song, yeah. I like that too. It's a great story to it, and I'm a big fan of Conway's, and when we were out that time in America, Sean, about 2 years ago now or more, we went round to see his house and all. We were in his house and all like that, and he was wonderful. He was a wonderful singer, and it was a pity that he died so young as well,
I know, and so quickly,
Quickly as well, yeah, the poor fella, yeah.
Yeah, and then another one that I really like, which is You Be All I've Ever Seen.
Yeah. I can't remember. Some girl sang that, I think.
But the way you do them, I mean, I love the way, as I've always said, which is, I think, I've always said, there will come a day, and I can't wait for it, when Mick Flavin will do an all country love song album, because like you're lucky where you come from, like in Longford. I mean, and to me there's very few people that can sing good country love songs. I mean, you're one of them. Another guy who comes from sort of like round the corner from where you are is Noel Cassidy, who's a great singer of them as well.
Noel's a great singer as well. The man that he should have really made it like back in, back when things were going fairly well for him and that, but he's doing his own thing now, and he's doing the local scene and that. And but Noel has a great voice as well.
I mean, Longford has a great sort of a great array of different artists. Like as you said, you got yourself, you got Declan, you got Larry Cunningham, you got Noel Cassidy, and then of course you got the band Gobsmacked as well, who come out of your part of the world.
And Busy Fingers.
And Busy Fingers. I mean, it's really for such a small area, because I mean, it's not a really like big area compared to some areas around.
No,
I mean,
it's true indeed.
A lot compared to sort of like the size of Donegal. But I mean, you got some great artists that come out of there.
Yeah, well, Maud was a bit like that too. Like you had Ray Lynham there, and you have Tom Allen to your Dallas, and then you have Foster and Allen, and you have the Sheerans there as well, who are Danny Sheeran and all them. Like, and I don't know. It just seems to. And then you can go like for counties, and you probably wouldn't get singers in it at all. And I don't know whether it's just that they're more into traditional music or what, but it's just this area here. I know when I was growing up, like in Ballinammuck now, like I was mad about Big Tom now, and about Brian Call and Philomene and people like that, and like that time there was no local radios around like that, Sean, but there were sponsor programs on Radio Éireann,
That's right. Yes, I remember those.
On a Saturday, like you had like Mitchellstown, the Home of Good Cheese, and all the different you had associated ballrooms like Con Hines and different ones. And if you got a play in one of those, something, it was unbelievable, because everybody in the country was listening to it,
I mean, tell us a little bit. You're also doing some concerts at the moment as well, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I'm doing a bit of a variety concert. I've done a few of them, and a few of them I had to cancel because they didn't go too well, to be honest with you. But I'm doing one next Wednesday night in Oma there, in the Stroul Arts Centre there in Oma, and it's going pretty okay at the moment,
And of course you got Kevin Logan there with you.
Young Kevin there, yeah, he's only down the road from us here as well.
Very good artist, isn't he?
Boy, which is in Cavan, and then Frank Ford, the comedian, and we have the Celtic Rhythm Dancers. We did a couple of shows here. We did one in Longford here, which went very, very well, Did one down in Port and then, as I said, there was a few of them that didn't really sell. I suppose people wouldn't have known the show, and and times are difficult now at the moment too, Sean, Like with the whole economic climate and everything, the way it's going,
I know. And I mean, like, the thing is, it's not, to be honest with you, it's not just you that have had to cancel shows as well. I mean, you think of it, there's a lot of artists that have been out to do concerts have had to do. Do you think is this what's the step forward for the Irish bands to sort of more and more do more concerts rather than the ballrooms or the dances?
Well, it's difficult to know because the thing about it is now, Mike Denbo went out there and he did a whole series of concerts and there was some of them were absolutely great, like, you know, and it may work for some artists, but what I find is the country isn't really big enough, do you know? Whereas if you go to the UK, I mean, in comparison to the size of Ireland, you know, you could do 3 months in the UK and not play in the same place like twice, you know?
That's right.
And you could go to Scotland then, or part of Wales and that, you know. So I suppose it'll probably work for some people and it probably won't work for others. But I still think that people will go out and dance, even through recessionary times and all like that. People want to go out, and they will go out, you know, to get away from all this bloody doom and gloom. Because every time you turn on the radio or turn on the television, it's just, you know, it's crazy.
Depressing,
you know?
isn't it?
But people will get away from it, and people like to laugh too and go out to like what we have is a comedian there who's very, very funny, and he makes people just love to go out and have a bit of a laugh and a sing song and that, you know, and that probably will go on. It'll probably work, I suppose, Sean, you know, unless things get worse. If the government keeps taking the tax off us, we'll have nothing at all left.
I mean, are you still amazed though that, I mean, the way you were talking about England and you were talking about Scotland, how your fans in England have still, you know, kept behind you all the way, and the fans, particularly in Scotland, where you really are very popular.
Ah, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, that's one thing about country music fans all over the world. I mean, they don't just stay with you for a day or a week or a month or a year. They're there with you for all times, you know. And people like Big Tom here in Ireland have proved that, you know. I mean, when he came back the last time there, it's just phenomenal. The time before that was the same. So it's not like, you know, like pop fans there, they might stay with an artist for maybe a year or stay with them or you know, if they have a big hit. And then if they don't come up with something good, well, they're kind of past tense, you know, and they're gone in about a year maybe, you know. But with country fans, they're so loyal. You know, the loyalty is there, and they will always, you know, unless you do something terrible on them, they will always support you. Like,
they will support you.
And that's what I love about them, you know.
Well, they've been always, I mean, as I said, you've been good to them and vice versa. Now, let's talk about the new album. I mean, this new album, I'll Share My World with You, which to me, I mean, I think is an absolutely brilliant album. I mean, the tracks on it are something that just take your breath away. Like, I mean, just to go through one of them, my favourite one, I mean, at the moment on there, I mean, it'll probably change because of the amount of times I played the album, is Papa's Wagon.
Yeah, but that was... That's quite an old song as well. I think it was, I'm not sure if it was George Jones.
George Jones, yes, was the original of it, yeah.
The person I had was Ray Lynham, you know. And Ray did a terrific job on that. And again, Sean, it's a great dance tune. People can get up and dance to that, the dances and that. And there's a good old steady beat to it, you know.
I mean, how did you go about selecting the tracks? Because, I mean, it must have taken a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of sort of personal input. Because, I mean, the tracks are not, you know, sort of readily known. I mean, you've done a Don Gibson track on there as well, which, I mean, as I said, I never even knew Don Gibson did that track. But, I mean, it's nice that somebody has actually taken a track that nobody really knows about Don Gibson and has given it, let it see the light of day again.
Well, what I always tend to do and have done in the past, I sort of pick songs that are not really sort of beaten out too badly, you know, and not too obscure either. Like, I mean, we had a song on the Lucky Break album. Now, just go back to the Lucky Break album. There was a song on that which was on the album, and the album was out about a year, maybe more, a year and a half. And then suddenly the radio station started to play it, and it just became a huge hit for me. Was I Knew This Day Would Come, you know, and that was a fantastic song. So, like, you know, I think the radio stations can make a song too, and they can make an album really if they want to, you know. And the kind of stuff that I go for, like Yours to Hurt Tomorrow now, for instance, that song, that wouldn't have been widely known here.
Never at all, because even I found it hard to find out who done the original of it, you know.
But that's right, yeah. And then if you get a good original song too, Sean, I mean, it's very important. Like, When I Lay Me Down was written by a girl called Mary O'Brien, you know. And that was a fantastic song, and it's a kind of a gospel song. And when that came out, I mean, that got such an amount of airplay, and every single day, I know here on the local radio here, it just got requested off the year every day. The man could have played it 9 or 10 times, you know.
I know, but it does. It's just the way, like as I said with your albums. I mean, going back to the album you mentioned. I mean, you do a great version of "Till the Grass Grows Over Me," which, of course, I mean, I've gotten a version by Johnny Bush, which to me I thought was a great version. And I mean, you do as good a version of that record as he does.
And that was a great song too. That was another song that was kind of on an old cassette that I had. Jenny, I must have it. I could have it maybe 25 or 30 years. I got it from a fella that I used to go to school with, actually, and it was a very, very bad recording. Actually, it was taken off some program that was, I think was it Alan Nolan, not Alan Nolan, but what do you call your man who used to do a country show there on RT. He was Nolan. I can't think of his first name. But anyway, that song was played. It could have been gone back as far as the 70s. But it was, the version I had of it was of Conway. Again, it was a Conway Twitty version that I had of it, you know. And it was a great song as well. Yeah.
I mean, fair play to you, because I mean, as I said, I've got Johnny Bush singing it, and I mean, I mean, like him, have to get really high up.
Oh
my God, I mean, if I had to try and get up to notes like that, I'd have to get a ladder. But I mean, I was amazed. I've even said to people, amazed how, you know, what a great voice you have, how you got up to the notes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I suppose I have a good range, like, because I can sing down in the low ones as well. I can hit the phones too. And the high ones, yeah, I can do those as well.
Yeah, but
I'm lucky, thank God, you know.
Yeah, I know. But listen, the new album is like, I mean, as I said, like, for me anyway, I'm getting it requested off the air, so I'm really pleased about that, both on the shows I do in England and the ones I do over here in Ireland, which is great. And
marvellous.
But listen, thanks, Mick, for coming on the show. And I said, I really appreciate it. It's been great talking. I've longed to do this interview for so long, and I'm so glad now that I've actually been able to do it. It's been a pleasure.
You know, it's an absolute pleasure to be on all your different shows, and I want to thank you very much indeed for all the help you've given me down through the years. I want to thank all your listeners, both at home here in Ireland and across in the UK as well, for all the help and support they have given me. And if people do want to buy the album, it's been distributed by Sharp Music in Dungannon and also by RMG Chart in Dublin. So if they want to look it up, you know, or we have it on the web as well, you know.
And on your own website, which is www.mickflavin.com.
Yeah.
Is that, of course, we're checking it out. Well, we're going to go back to the studio, and now we're going to play some music from my special guest on today's Irish Connection radio show, Mick Flavin.